How do you feel right now? How you feel can determine the quality of your life. Your emotions can either make you miserable or truly magical. Your emotions usually color all your experiences. When you feel good, everything feels and seems and tastes good. Your thoughts are better, life is good, everything is magical. On the other side, when you feel bad, you feel depressed, you feel unmotivated, you feel stuck in life, sometimes even mentally stuck, and you are just miserable. You don't know what to do with your life. So how do we manage our feelings? How do we master our emotions? This leads us to the book, Master Your Emotions. In fact, I'm going to be making a 4-part series based on that book, and this is episode 1. In today's episode, we are going to talk all about emotions and how you can manage your emotions. Let's get into it. But by the way, kindly subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Smash the like button. Let's get into it. Now let's discuss how your survival mechanisms affect your emotions. The first of them is why people have a bias towards negativity. Fear of rejection is one of the bias towards negativity. History has told us that in time past, if you were rejected by your tribe or your people, automatically it's like your life was under threat, because if you are in the forest and they reject you, maybe an animal will eat you or something. And so our brains got used to that, in that these days, even though when you are rejected, I mean, it usually doesn't carry so much consequences. You could be rejected by the whole world and you still have a job, you still have food, you still have a roof over your head. But our brain doesn't understand that. Another is how dopamine can mess with your happiness. The author says that today's society is selling a version of happiness that makes us unhappy. We have become so addicted to a kind of dopamine that marketers are selling to us. Most of us, or I mean all of us, are addicted to one thing or the other. Some are glued to their TV always, some are addicted to their phone, some are addicted to one thing or another. He even says some people are addicted to thinking. And so to better understand your emotions, or even to better manage your emotions, you have to first understand what is it that you are addicted to, what is it that is robbing your happiness, what is it that you are focusing on. Throw more light on that thing. Another thing is the one day I will myth. The one day I will myth makes you think that one day when you achieve all your dreams, then you will be happy. But the author says no, it's your mind usually playing tricks on you. That is why when you buy a new car, you begin to feel happy, and at a point in time, you are looking for the next thing that will make you happy. You are looking to build a house that will make you happy. You are looking to achieve that one thing. He says yes, you might still achieve your dreams, but you won't get the happily ever after that you are thinking. It's just your mind that is playing tricks on you. And so this thing that makes you crave happiness from a thing and easily move on to another thing is called hedonic adaptation. So how does this hedonic adaptation work? A study was done in 1978 to understand how winning the lottery can influence your happiness. And they found out a year after the event that people had just become normally happy as they were before they won the lottery, in that after the excitement of the winning the lottery, their life didn't magically change and they didn't automatically become the happiest people in the world, but they had just gone back to living normal lives with no amount of happiness being added to them because they had won that lottery. Perhaps you believe that you'll be happy once you have made it, but based on this study, it just shows that you wouldn't be any happier. You always revert back to how you were before you even made it. And so does that mean you can never be happy in life? Of course not. But the author is saying that your happiness is based on your attitude towards life and not the things you achieve. And that is why, let's say there are two people. There's one who is usually just have this attitude of gratitude. The person is always grateful for life. The person is grateful for food. The person is grateful for the things that they have, no matter how small it is. This person's attitude to life makes them more content and they can easily find happiness, while there's another person who is always complaining, why is my life like this, why is everything falling apart, I want to, those kind of things. You would not find happiness. So it's not about the things you achieve in life or you able to achieve all the dreams you have been dreaming. It's about your attitude towards life that gives you happiness. Second point I want us to discuss is your ego and how it affects your emotions. And so your ego is your self-identity you have created throughout your life. Your ego is created through your thoughts, and events that happens to you are meaningless in themselves until you give meaning to them based on your interpretation of those events. Another thing is that you accept things about yourself because people told you to do so. You identify with your name because people told you that was your name. You identify with your age, you identify with your religion, you identify with your occupation, with your political affiliation. And so you can become attached to your religion or your politics and become offended when someone criticizes your religion or even your political affiliation. One thing you have to also notice that the ego is not bad or good in itself. It's based on your self-awareness. And so there are certain things your ego usually attaches itself to, and I just want to run through them as quickly as possible. And one of them is your physical items. And this is one thing most marketers are usually very aware of. They know that people just don't buy things, they buy emotions and the story that is attached to their product. So you will find yourself particularly interested in a particular car, in a particular dress, because of your status, because of how you want people to see you, because you want people to see you as a certain kind of way. When you like wearing suit, what kind of image are you projecting out for people to see? That is how you want to identify your ego attached to the physical things you wear. Another thing is your friendship or your acquaintances. The ego usually likes to attach itself with relationships, and so you find yourself usually looking for certain groups of people to become your friends. And mostly, the ego is focused on the things it can get from people. So you will see people saying that, do you know my friends? Do you know how famous this my friend is? Do you know how intelligent this my friend is? Because they want to attach to people they feel is of importance. One of the things can also even be your physical body, your physical appearance. The ego likes the way you look and attaches itself to how you look. Even your ego also identifies with beliefs. It strengthens itself through the kind of things you identify with. And that is what I've been saying: political beliefs, religious beliefs, things you can become so attached to these things that you can't even have a clear picture of how reality is because of the things your ego is associated with. The ego has a need to feel superior, and usually one of them is gossiping. People gossip because it makes them feel superior than everybody else, and that is why they are comfortable talking about people behind their back. And so mostly everybody in that gossiping group usually feels superior than the other people or the person they are gossiping about. Another need that the ego uses to feel superior is enhancing itself through people. And as I've said, trying to associate with famous people, trying to associate with rich people, trying to associate with smart or intelligent people. Also, the ego doesn't try to just associate with these people, but the ego in itself also looks to become famous. And so you would see people daydreaming and becoming desirous to become famous because they think that it will make them feel important. Another thing that the ego uses to enhance its superiority and feels important is being right. How many times do you usually think in an argument or in a conversation that you are the one saying the right thing or you are the one saying the right words? Yes, because our ego attaches itself to that. You are always right, but can all of us be right at the same time? I doubt it. And the author is saying that from either is Nelson Mandela or Adolf Hitler, everybody thinks they are right and whatever they are doing is right. And that is because of how our ego identifies with that thing. And so how does your ego impact your emotions? First, you have to realize that your current story is as a result of your strong identification with people or things or ideas. And so that is why when life doesn't unfold according to your personal story, you get upset. When someone tries to challenge your beliefs, you become angry and defensive. The third point I want us to discuss is the nature of our emotions. And the first thing you must understand here is that emotions come and go. One moment you are happy, another moment you are sad. And while you do have control over your emotions, you also have to notice that sometimes your emotions are unpredictable. And so if you expect yourself to be happy at all times, to always be happy, then you are setting yourself up for failure. And when that happens, and at a point in time you are not happy, what do you do to yourself? Sometimes you beat yourself up and you criticize yourself and all that. But you have to notice that emotions comes and goes. Another thing is that no matter how mentally tough you are, at some point in your time you will experience sadness or grief or even depression. At times you will feel disappointed and betrayed and resentful and ashamed. Even at times you doubt yourself and you doubt if you can become the person you want to be. And this is all because of the emotions and the fact that they come and go. And so you have to notice that yes, you might feel sad today, you might feel doubtful today. The important thing to note is that emotions will come, but most importantly, emotions will also go. Another thing to note is that your negative emotions are not bad or useless. You may blame yourself for experiencing negative emotions, and even sometimes you can see yourself as being mentally weak, and then you may even believe something is wrong with you, and that is your inner self telling you. But you have to notice that emotions are just emotions. And so being depressed doesn't make you less of a person you were 3 weeks ago. Being sad today doesn't mean you will never laugh again. And so the important thing to remember is that the way you interpret emotions as well as the blame game you engage in usually creates suffering and not the emotions in itself. Another thing to note is that your negative emotions often serve a purpose. You know, these negative emotions can serve as a wake-up call for you. You might even realize that they were some of the reasons why you achieved your ultimate success. Maybe you woke up one day and you felt like you were not good enough, and then you started working on yourself. You felt like where I am living currently is not where I want to be in the future. And because of these negative emotions, you were pushed to become better, to work on yourself, to achieve your dreams. And so negative emotions aren't always bad. They serve as a wake-up call for you to become better. Fourth point I want us to discuss is the power of emotions. As already said in the introduction, your emotional state can drastically affect your outlook on life. When you feel good, everything is good, you are motivated, you become confident. When you feel bad, everything else is bad, you are unmotivated, you feel stuck and all of that. And so because of this, let's look at how we can break the magnetic power of emotions. Let's say you have a bad day at work and you are in a terrible mood. This emotion usually attracts you to have more negative emotions, and so you usually get fixated on it. All of a sudden you realize you are still single at 30 and you start beating yourself over it. Also, you begin to realize that you are overweight, and then all of a sudden you realize your boss is saying you should come to the office on Saturday, and it makes you just think of how your job sucks and is bad and all of that. And so you see how the story is going. When one negative emotion or one negative thought comes, you get fixated on it, and all of a sudden everything negative start coming to about it. So the point is that no matter how great your life is, if you spend most of your time usually focusing on your problems, then you become depressed. Whatever you focus on is whatever you would get at the end. And so don't let your mind over dramatize your emotions. It will only make you feel worse. Instead, remember that negative emotions only exist in your mind. And to take things seriously, it doesn't even mean that you should solve all your problems at once. So take them apart and try to solve them one at a time. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'll be bringing you part 2, part 3 and part 4 based on the book Master Your Emotions. It's such an interesting book, and you get to know why you usually feel the way you feel and how you can react towards it. And so please subscribe to the channel.